Hi, Jody here from Healing Journey. Really excited to talk to you today about a few things. So I wanted to start out by talking about SIBO or IBS. And part of the reason I want to talk about that today is because there is a free live summit going on right now. So for those of you that have gut issues, whether it's bloating, gas, diarrhea, constipation, oftentimes SIBO is underneath that. So doctors will often diagnose gut issues, chronic gut issues with IBS. Sometimes that is just a gut infection. So sometimes that could be bacterial overgrowth, amoeba, parasite. And sometimes what it is something called SIBO. So SIBO stands for small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And so basically in your small intestine, there's not supposed to be a lot of bacteria. And what sometimes happens for a variety of different reasons is the bacteria in the colon migrates up into the small intestine and causes a whole host of different issues like the symptoms that I described. So when you take probiotics, that is good bacteria, and the idea is that healthy bacteria is going to go to your large intestine and colonize there, not your small intestine. So when you have overgrowth in your small intestine, the bacteria produces gas known as hydrogen and methane. And depending on the type of bacteria, the gas produced will either lead to diarrhea or constipation, or a fluctuation between diarrhea and constipation. And so that's why you get something called IBS or SIBO. And what's interesting about this is when you drink just an ounce of milk, for example, it can cause so much gas that it would be the equivalent of 5 liters of gas. And so that comes out in a variety of different ways. One of the ways that it comes out of your body, obviously, is gas. It actually gets into your bloodstream and you exhale it through your breath. So one of the ways to test for SIBO is actually to do a breath test, because you can test for the hydrogen and methane in your breath because your body doesn't produce it. So if it shows up, then clearly you have a SIBO overgrowth. Other ways you can tell you have a SIBO overgrowth is when you have probiotics or fermented foods. So this could be yogurt, kimchi, or kombucha, or anything that's fermented that's supposedly healthy and it makes you feel worse. So basically, again, what's happening is that food is feeding the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So the good bacteria is not getting to your colon, it's having a party in your small intestine instead. Another way to tell if you have SIBO would be to try the FODMAPs diet. That's FODMAPS. And that diet, you can just Google it. Basically, it eliminates the sugars that feed the SIBO bacteria. And if you start to feel better on a low FODMAPs diet, then chances are you have SIBO. The interesting thing about SIBO is it's somewhat functional. So sometimes the bacteria grows because you're not properly digesting the food in the stomach to get to the small intestine, and so there has to be a way to break it down. SIBO is also very common with celiac disease, and part of that reason is because the microvilli, so that's the little kind of tentacle things on the lining of your stomach that's responsible for producing enzymes to help break down your food. It's also responsible for absorbing nutrients. So that could be blunted or kind of like flattened out. And so there's no enzymes to break down your food anymore, and so SIBO comes along and helps out. So oftentimes you need to clear out other bigger concerns like worms, parasites, and amoebas before you deal with SIBO. So there's a bit of an order when you're dealing with SIBO. So if you want to know more information, there's a 7-day summit. There's tons of different talks every day on awesome stuff. I will post the link at the bottom of this talk. You just sign up and then choose what you want to talk to, what you want to listen to. So today, for example, I listened to an awesome talk on intermittent fasting, which was really great. So moving along to the second thing, so using snacks as a way to balance blood sugar. So I know I wanted to bring this up because it's back to school time. And often as a culture, we use snacks that are really high in sugar. And that's kind of the common thing to do, whether it's a fruit or it's another snack that you purchase that's a little bit more processed. And what happens when we have sugary snacks is it's spiking our blood sugar. So our blood sugar is a bit of a roller coaster. So when we spike that blood sugar, then it's obviously going to go back down again. We're going to do the crash. We're going to get hungry. We're going to need more food to bring that blood sugar back up. We're going to eat something sugary and it's going to spike back up, and the same thing keeps happening. So in order to balance our blood sugar, we want to have snacks. So snacks aren't necessarily bad, but the choice in snacks is where the problem is. So we want to have snacks that are balanced between sugar and a protein. So if you're going to have a fruit, pair it with a nut butter or nuts. You can also do pairing it with a fat. So you could do an avocado, for example, or you could also do, I like apples and almond butter. You could do celery and guacamole. There's a lot of different options out there, but definitely when you're thinking about snack food, if you're going to have something sugary, find a way to add in a protein, and nuts are my favorite way if you can tolerate nuts. And then finally, talking about getting back on track for September, I have some exciting news coming about a new cleanse that I will be offering. So look out for that. It's a 14-day back-to-school cleanse. And the difference with this cleanse is that it's super sustainable. And so instead of other diets where you're eliminating everything and it's terrible and you're miserable, and then you quit the diet and binge on all the sugar again, this is a great way for you to stay sustainable and to keep that diet up. So you're not necessarily punishing yourself, and it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. So one of the things that I do talk about on that cleanse or introduce is the idea of chia pudding. Most of you may know this by now, but some of you don't necessarily. So this is a great breakfast option, also a great snack option, using chia seeds and coconut or almond milk with great toppings. If you want to know more, I actually posted a really great recipe for chocolate chia pudding on my Healing Journey Facebook group, so you can head on over there and check it out. Alrighty, have a lovely evening and a great week back to school.